The zombie apocalypse has been a hot topic in the gaming industry for years now. Whether you're blowing up zombies in a first-person shooter or outlasting the undead in a survival horror game, there's something for everyone on this list of the 10 impressive upcoming zombie games of 2022 and beyond. AAA, indie, and even VR titles, we've got it all covered. And without further ado, let's get started. Starting off with number 10, we have an indie title called Zombie Raid. Not to be confused with the 1995 title of the same name, Zombie Raid is a multiplayer top-down shooter in which you'll fight against hordes of zombies. Most of the action takes place outdoors, in the streets of an infected city, but you'll also be able to enter some mission-related multi-story buildings to engage monsters there. Your character can carry both primary and secondary weapons. You'll have a choice between different types of shotguns, assault, and sniper rifles. Using scopes will magnify your target, letting you take more precise shots. Kill hundreds of relentless fast zombies, and loot various equipment to upgrade your health, stamina, armor, and more. This will allow you to take on even deadlier enemies, terrifying abomination bosses. You can play with a friend in co-op PvE or fight against other players in various PvP modes, such as one-on-one duel, free-for-all deathmatch, or squad battle, where teams of 4 players fight for control points. Zombie Raid will be released for Windows PC sometime in the future. Next up at number 9, we have Pathogenesis Overcome, a hardcore action RPG with survival and tactical elements. As you make your way through this zombie-infested world, you'll have to manage standard survival elements such as energy, water, and sleep. Using real-life combat tactics on the battlefield will be one of the most essential skills. Take advantage of available covers to protect yourself from enemies and peek around corners when you aim. Your character is impeccably animated and has many different movement types at his disposal. Complex animations will let you realistically parkour over obstacles, dodge, dive on the move, and perform some impressive melee combat. What we liked right away was the interesting waypoint system, where you draw the exact route you want your character to follow. This is a cool feature that lets you concentrate on aiming with the mouse, without compromising any movement at all. Just beware of the recoil, which will definitely affect your aim. Other notable features include multiple factions, physically correct ballistics combined with penetration, absorption, and ricochet effects, dynamic weather and day and night cycles, as well as a huge arsenal of firearms with realistic weapon modifications that affect performance. Pathogenesis Overcome is built on Unreal Engine 4 and looks like a very promising title. It will be released for Windows PC sometime in 2023. Following at number 8, we have HumanitZ, a top-down open-world survival game set in a world destroyed by a zombie outbreak. You'll encounter several different types of zombies, from the usual slow shamblers to much more agile runners. Customize your chosen survivor with perks, stats, and a huge selection of firearms. The world map is quite large, covering about 16 square kilometers. As you make your way through this inhospitable world, be sure to pay attention to your surroundings, as there are all sorts of useful loot to be found, from various weapons to important crafting items. Use an extensive crafting and building system for everything you need to survive, from equipment to consumables. Then build a small farm in the hills and hunt game or catch fish. Look for various drivable vehicles that you can repair, and take advantage of more inventory space and increased mobility when you go on loot runs. Other notable features include a dynamic weather system and a hostile human AI. This is a PvE game that can be played alone or with 4 players in co-op. HumanitZ is in early access and has a playable alpha demo on Steam right now. The full version will hopefully be released by the end of 2023. So far, only the Windows PC version is planned, but depending on the success of the game, it could be pushed to consoles as well. Moving on to number 7, we have Projekt Z, a free-to-play first-person co-op shooter set in a World War II zombie scenario on a secret German island. Projekt Z is designed as a co-op game from the start. Although the mission areas are large and divided into 3 sections, it's not an open-world experience, since the missions follow a rather linear path. The level design can best be described as a mixture of Left 4 Dead and Escape from Tarkov, in which you have to reach exit points after completing the necessary objectives. Each character has 3 skill trees that let you improve special abilities and vital stats as you level up. The game will feature multiple types of zombies, and players will have to adapt their approach to the type of enemy they're facing. Some zombies have mutated in a way that they can no longer see, but have developed incredible hearing senses instead. part of the gameplay shares some similarities with titles such as State of Decay 2 and Fallout 4, namely in the form of base building management. You'll have a personal hideout that serves as a base of operations, which you'll be able to expand by building sleeping areas, crop fields, pharmacies, or gunsmiths. Make sure that these facilities are in working order by supplying enough resources every day. In your missions, you will encounter other survivors that you can recruit and send to your base. Pay attention to their morale and keep their behavior in check, since some may stop following the rules. Apart from these repeatable missions, there is another game mode called Wave Survival, in which your team will have to defend the base against incoming waves of zombies. Projekt Z is completely free, and you can play the entire game from start to finish without paying anything. Only future story expansions and a battle pass, which only includes cosmetic items, will be monetized to keep development going. Projekt Z is at the moment coming only to Windows PC, but the developers aren't ruling out the possibility of a console launched sometime in the future. The release date is yet to be determined. Next at number 6, we have No More Room in Hell 2, a sequel to the award-winning source mod from 2011. It's an online survival horror for 8 players in co-op mode, set in a zombie apocalypse where you'll fight against hordes of undead. In the original, there were 2 game modes, an objective mode in which you followed the game's instructions, and a survival mode in which you defended certain sectors against waves of incoming zombies. According to the developer, the sequel will offer more game modes and also a greater variety of maps. Speaking of maps, this time they will include even more random mechanisms to increase the replay value. Certain map elements will change every time you play, such as the layout of a sewage system, the locations of power sources, or the configuration of the apartments in a building. Other features include crafting weapons and other items, personal statistics, and a survivor ranking system that allows a better matchmaking experience. Overall, it looks like No More Room in Hell 2 will improve on its predecessor in every way, and is scheduled for release on October 31st, 2022. Before we continue, if you like this video, please consider hitting that like button, subscribe if you are new to the channel, and enable all notifications by clicking the notification bell icon. Continuing with number 5, we have a VR-exclusive title, The Walking Dead: Saints and Sinners Chapter 2 Retribution. This is a standalone game of the same size and scope as the first chapter, and a continuation of the original title story. This time you'll be able to freely explore the French Quarter of New Orleans at night, which brings a completely new level of difficulty, since you'll have to learn to find your way in the dark with flares and a flashlight without attracting unwanted attention. The combat has once again a nice physics-based feel to it, adjusted specifically for VR controllers. Each weapon has a certain weight attached to it, and players get instant controller feedback when firing a quick round of bullets or swinging a heavy melee weapon. The laser sight is a new item that you can acquire in the game. It can be attached to most firearms and even bows. This will be very helpful when aiming, since players will be able to aim more precisely and thus use less ammo. Speaking of weapons, a number of new ones have been added to the game, the most notable of which is the chainsaw, a top-notch melee weapon designed for eliminating larger groups of zombies. Crafting is still an essential part of the game, and this time we will have even more recipes to choose from. A trade network system will open up more options for gathering and crafting equipment essential for survival. Everything will turn against you. Countless hordes of zombies, the tower, and a new deadly enemy simply called the Axemen will stand in your way, and seeking help from other factions will be a crucial survival strategy. The game will be released in late 2022, primarily for the Windows PC VR, and will also be available for PlayStation 4 VR shortly after. PS5 and the next-gen PSVR version 2 should follow once that system becomes available. At number 4, we have Dead Island 2, a long-awaited first-person action RPG. Instead of a real island like in the first game, this time you'll be transported to a nightmarish version of Los Angeles, where you'll experience iconic locations such as Venice Beach, Bel Air, and Beverly Hills. Dead Island 2 is not an open-world game. You'll move in a linear way from one large district to another. In the single-player mode, you can expect 6 playable characters. They are infected with the zombie virus, but immune to its effects. These characters can channel their mutation through outbreaks of zombie rage and through a skill tree that develops and personalizes their abilities. Skills are presented in the form of a deck of cards and can be interchanged at will once unlocked. Choose helpful perks and change the way various core moves work, such as the flying kick or the character's signature attack. The procedural gore system allows you to mutilate and dismember hordes of undead in all sorts of creative and terrifying ways. You'll be able to smash their heads on the ground with a huge sledgehammer or sever their limbs with surgical precision using a sharp katana. The game also offers a 3-player online co-op mode in which you'll be able to team up with other players to fight the zombies. A nice surprise and a very interesting feature is the integration of Alexa game control, so you can use your voice to swap weapons, set waypoints, taunt zombies, and much more. And you do not even need an Alexa device to do this. You can play with any microphone or headset. This is the first game to integrate this feature. Dead Island 2 will be released on February 3, 2023 for Windows PC, PlayStation 4 and 5, Xbox One, and Xbox Series X and S. At number 3, we have The Day Before, an open-world MMO survival game set in a deadly post-pandemic America, overrun by flesh-hungry infected, where survivors fight each other for food, weapons, and cars. You will wake up alone in a world you can no longer remember and set out to find answers and the resources to survive. Explore beautiful but dangerous locations with stunningly detailed vehicles and destroy the infected and other players with realistic weapons, becoming a legend of the new world. Search abandoned vehicles, houses, and skyscrapers as you look for resources. Take part in the restoration of the old society before it's too late. In the survivor colony, you'll be able to sell your loot and communicate safely with other players. When it was first announced, The Day Before immediately generated a lot of hype, and one of the main reasons is simply the visuals. The graphics look next-gen, the world is beautiful, and the environment is full of details and interactive objects. The animations look natural, and the vehicle physics and behavior depend on the terrain you are driving on. In terms of gameplay, there are clear influences from titles such as The Division and DayZ, with third-person mechanics and the possibility of using objects as cover. You'll also have the option to craft and dismantle various items, repair and customize weapons with different attachments, and much more. The Day Before is built on Unreal Engine 5 and will be released for Windows PC on March 1, 2023. There is a small possibility that versions for PS5 and the Xbox Series X will also appear at some point in the future, but we'll have to wait for a PC release first. Next at number 2 we have State of Decay 3, the eagerly awaited sequel to the popular zombie series. For fans of the Walking Dead TV series, this is the closest experience to the post-apocalyptic zombie world depicted in the series. Undead Labs, the creators of State of Decay, have now evolved into 3 separate studios working together and have a much larger budget for this sequel. This is their most ambitious title to date. The developers are focused on delivering a AAA quality zombie survival experience and are in no hurry to get it on the shelves too quickly, as they're still figuring out how to do it right. Based on job postings on their website in the recent past, there's a strong indication that the biggest game-changing feature in State of Decay 3 will be some sort of online, live service multiplayer component. If true, this could open up the possibility for a persistent online world with different communities, controlled by real players on a huge map. And while this certainly sounds like a fabulous idea, we won't know for sure until we get more information. Apart from the confirmation that the new sequel is still in pre-production and it's built on Unreal Engine 5, we don't have any other actual details to share. As with the previous titles, the game will be released for both Windows and Xbox. So based on what we know so far, we can assume that the title will be released in 2025 at the earliest. As always, we'll keep our fingers crossed that we're wrong in this case and get the game sooner than expected. Finally, at number 1, we have Resident Evil 4. This is a remake of 2005 original that brings familiar horror setting up to date. Resident Evil 4 preserves the essence of the original game while offering modernized gameplay, a redesigned storyline, and vivid, detailed graphics. With the updated graphics, the sense of isolation and eeriness from the original game is enhanced even more. The camera perspective is a third-person view, and the controls have been updated to a modern standard that increases the intensity of the gameplay. For those who are not familiar with Resident Evil 4, the main character is Leon Kennedy, one of the survivors of the Raccoon City incident, who has been recruited as an agent and reports directly to the President of the United States. Leon is sent to rescue the President's kidnapped daughter. He tracks her down in a quiet European village, surrounded by a dense and dangerous forest, where a sinister cult is said to have its home. We will be able to visit the faithfully recreated creepy environments of a village, castle, and island on March 24, 2023, when Resident Evil 4 is released for Windows PC, PlayStation 4 and 5, and Xbox Series X and S. Tell us in the comments if you are looking forward to fighting those disturbing regenerators all over again. Many thanks for watching, as we really hope you found this type of content helpful. So hit the like button if you did, and subscribe if you're new to the channel. Until next time, have a ton of fun.